Howdy, we're Group 8. Throughout lecture and our weekly readings, we learn how humans interact with a city and how we should design cities around these interactions. Jane Jacobs discusses the complexity and the interconnectedness of city elements, and Jan Gehl describes how increased traffic leads to less public spaces. Overall, these interactions between the city and its citizens and the city and its elements are worth studying. I explored Gehl's perspective on urban traffic trends, where he explains that empty spaces in cities tend to fill with cars, and as traffic increases, cities often respond by adding more roads and parking lots, which only leads to greater congestion. However, Gehl also shares examples where dismantling large road systems reduce capacity and the amount of traffic. This raises the question, if removing highways reduces congestion, why don't city planners do it? I believe the answer lies in the desire for economic growth driven by larger populations, even if it means sacrificing public space. I found a recorded lecture where Professor Nick Tyler explored Edward Hall's perception of space and different types of social interactions, such as normal conversations and presentations to coworkers. He emphasized that we should focus on designing public spaces around these interactions, rather than simply building a large city and adding public spaces later. I can see this at Texas A&M, especially in the Zach building, where there's large classrooms, labs, and collaboration areas. This shows that the university anticipated a large population of students hoping they'd work with one another.
Hi. Social dimension in urban planning refers to the human and community aspects of a city, including demographics, culture, and social interactions, equality, and quality of life. It focuses on how people live, work, and interact within urban spaces. Why is it important for cities? It promotes inclusivity and equality, ensuring all groups have access to housing, jobs, healthcare, and public services. It strengthens community and social cohesion. Well-planned public spaces, social programs, and policies foster a sense of belonging and interaction among residents. It improves the quality of life. Addressing social needs like safety, education, and recreation enhances residents' overall well-being. Supports sustainable development. Socially inclusive cities are more resilient, reducing inequalities and promoting long-term stability. I picked for my picked material was What Makes a Great City by Alexandar Garvin. He argues that a great city is a dynamic, constantly changing place that residents and their leaders can reshape to satisfy their demands. Most importantly, that it is interplay between people and public realm that creates great cities. Thank you.
Traffic in cities big and small shapes how and what we interact with in these cities every day. In Gehl's Cities for the People, chapter 1.3 talks about how medieval cities started the blueprint of short walking distances and town squares. Paris broke that mold with grand boulevards and military promenades. Each model had influences such as military power or creation of commerce hubs. Each of these cities is different, but all accommodates the traffic that they invited. Now, in modern days, traffic from automobiles is one of the main issues for the modern city. In the TED Talk, Why the Bleep Is There So Much Traffic by Benjamin Seibold, he discusses the phenomenon of phantom traffic and how it can be prevented. Seibold describes the causes being a lot of cars and a minor disturbance that can cause a chain of events that causes these traffic jams. Stop and go waves can stretch for miles and dictate how we treat other people, routes, and plan our day. Traffic jams cause fatalities, pollution, and other wasted resources. So, if we understand that other drivers aren't driving spitefully, we can prevent phantom traffic and create safer roadways for all. Thank you.
In Gehl's Cities for People, he mentions the techniques that have developed over the years that have negatively impacted our urban environment. Some key terms that he uses are overlooked, neglected, and phased out, which I believe captures the best impression on how our society's planners have fast-forwarded and missed the purpose they were trying to reach in the first place. The lack of public spaces and removal of pedestrianism have become deeply rooted in our cities across the globe, largely affecting the city dwellers living there, putting them in horrible conditions. Modernism has been greatly controversial over the decades, leading many to question its purpose if it hasn't created safer, better living for people while reducing our footprint. In the Pruitt-Igoe disaster, many people believe that this result came from low-cost, fast construction and modernistic principles, but the documentary that I watched claims that this happened because of the greater city's economic and socio-cultural hardships during that time. Due to these tendencies, modernist structures are usually criticized for existing beyond the human scale and not correctly valuing human well-being. The main points we are trying to touch on are how humans interact with the city and how we should design cities around these interactions. From the effects of traffic patterns on city life to the purpose of public spaces and human well-being and modernist principles' contribution to the cities across the world, how our cities function and develop is a crucial part of our everyday lives, and we should treat it as such.